Hello, everyone. I am Steve Flavel, Chief Operations Officer, and I am accompanied by Tiffany O'Brien, our Chief Academic Officer. We are here to share our improvement plan for 21-22 school year based on our targeted support improvement plan. We have to reference this as our TSI plan that we were placed on by the state last school year. For those of you who are not aware, targeted support improvement plans for schools who are showing early warning signs of low performance is basically just a red flag initiated by PDE that change is needed somewhere. In our case, is due to inadequate growth with our English language subgroup, as well as for both our ELA and math achievement levels.
Hey everyone. So this past school year, our administration team completed a comprehensive needs assessment and have started taking actionable steps towards goals that we have come up with based on that needs assessment. So with that said, we have developed this improvement plan based on all of the work that we have done with TSI this past school year. So we are going to get started by sharing those goals with you and what success pillars we've agreed upon that will make effective change in our school. So our first goal is based on curriculum, and our goal is to base all academic decisions on a shared vision of the development and maintenance of the EEACS curriculum. The administrative team will establish this goal by identifying the system and process for developing written curriculum with accompanying standards-aligned assessments. Accomplishing this goal will result in significant growth in both teachers and students. So our goal has a vision, purpose, and design. And I just read the goal to you. And the vision for that curriculum is that the curriculum should be accessible to all stakeholders, standards aligned, rigorous and relevant, and should have engaging content that is continuous and scaffolded from one grade level to the next. The curriculum should not be dependent on a specific publisher, book, or program, but should provide a meaningful experience and be universally designed for all students. The purpose for this plan is to fulfill our school mission and vision, which is that students will graduate with the necessary skills to pursue post-secondary options. And we will support students with this by instilling leadership skills and self-resiliency through a business education model in order to prepare students to be contributing members of society. A rigorous standards-aligned curriculum with relevant and engaging learning opportunities will support this vision. The design and the function of the written curriculum is that it should be utilized as an instructional plan for teachers, and accountability should be in place to ensure that students are learning and being assessed on the state standards throughout the school year in their respective grade levels. Teachers should use their resources to teach the content and standards that are outlined in the curriculum, which should be developed as a detailed scope and sequence of lesson plans. The written curriculum will include course descriptions, essential questions, academic vocabulary, summative assessments, materials and resources, which will all be broken down into units that are mapped by the PA standards. The scope and sequence or the lesson plans will include learning targets, materials and resources, and assessments outlined by days and weeks within those developed units. Okay, so now we have our implementation pillars for this goal. So going back to what I said earlier, we've determined what changes are going to be necessary to meet this goal. And here is where we have those all lined or all spelled out for you. We will be splitting the DCI position into two separate positions. So we will have 2 directors of curriculum and 2 directors of instruction. Since there is a lot of development that needs to go into that curriculum goal, we really need people to focus on those tasks and implementation plans. In addition to those positions, we've agreed to roll out a long-term professional development plan with our teachers to support instruction and offer students better access to the curriculum. We've decided to use the Universal Design for Learning framework, and we'll be contracting with the Katie Novak Group to provide UDL PD for all staff. We are very excited about this because we know that it will support our core instruction, which is our primary area of concern. We are actually starting a kickoff session with Katie Novak at the end of this month. And following that session, we will build out our long-term PD plan that will begin in August of 2021. So with UDL, we will be learning about instructional systems and strategies that will provide support across our MTSS program, but again, with a primary focus on what is happening at the Tier 1 level, also known as our core. The PD will support teachers in planning for instruction and will be taking teachers step by step through a process that involves unpacking the standards, determining best instructional practice to support all students through the lesson planning process, and then developing assessments that will measure student progress. The assessments will be built in Performance Matters so that all of our data will be in one platform when it comes time to view and analyze what is going on across each grade level and classroom in our building. Also, using Performance Matters will ensure all assessments are standards aligned. And I know this sounds like a lot, but again, the PD plan next year will be completely mapped out so that every Wednesday we will work on either rewriting or starting the rewriting of our curriculum through that UDL lens or building out those assessments. So these two tasks will work in tandem with each other. For example, teachers may be spending time unpacking standards for the first couple of months and then organizing their unit topics, followed by developing those accompanying unit assessments. So now some of you might be wondering how we will be capturing or recording all of the curriculum writing. We recently purchased a software program called the Build Your Own Curriculum Platform, AKA BYOC. And DCIs and I are currently working on setting all of that up so it is ready for our teachers in August. It is extremely user-friendly and it will be our warehouse for all of our curriculum work that we do moving forward. To further support our curriculum goal, we have come up with the curriculum renewal cycle so that we have a continuous process that will allow us to focus on specific curricular areas one at a time or even a couple at a time. And this renewal cycle will actually begin after we get through the rewriting process. So it is not anything we'll implement right away, but it is more of a long-term goal so that everyone is aware we plan to continue to review and revise our curriculum as any good school should by following a renewal cycle. As a school, it is our job to make sure the students are learning rigorous, relevant, standards aligned, engaging, and meaningful curriculum. So again, we will be following that schedule and it will be broken down by content and it'll take us through 3 phases where we will revise, implement, and assess and monitor. Our final implementation pillar for this goal is having instructional expectations for staff. The staff, as you all know, are the heart of our school and the magic ultimately happens through them. So we would like to strengthen and support that by making sure that some fundamental expectations are happening consistently. So for example, we want to ensure lesson plan components are in place, like guided reading in every elementary classroom, and the utilization of student data folders, and the expectation of parental involvement. These expectations are just more of a shift in how we're doing things and our routines and our practices, so they will better support our students and our teachers.
So that brings us to our next goal, which is having a focus on data. Our goal is to have a continuous process of data analysis between central administration, building administration, and teacher and staff level teams in order to lead the development of educational plans with specific action steps for continuous school improvement on a long-term basis. Accomplishing this goal will result in progress towards successful implementation and sustainability of all academic programs. So on this slide, you will see our meeting structure as an entire LEA. Since we are a K through 12 charter, it feels a little different compared to a regular school district, but you are essentially a district and 3 schools all in one. So looking at the central level, we have mainly the officers of the school and a few of the chief and admin staff considered to be the central level. At this level, there will be 2 main meetings. The first being scorecard meeting, which is when we will be pulling data, sorting and organizing data across elementary and secondaries to identify major concerns, gaps in content, and any red flags. This is a meeting where we will gather and view the overall health of the school. Then we will also have our strategy meeting, which is where we will analyze that data and develop plans in response to the data. Since we have 2 chief school directors that play the role as central and building level administrators, they will be the people bridging the gap and bring the central plan to the school level planning meetings. At this meeting, the admin team, including the CSD, the DI, the DC, team leaders, counselors, sped directors, and specialists, and anybody else, will develop a specific plan for their building to attack and address the needs that have been identified. To continue this cycle, data will also be reviewed and analyzed at the staff level. Staff will be given time in their schedule next year to meet as a grade level and or by content to work through PLC tasks and respond to their unit assessments and progress monitoring assessments. Ultimately, the goal will be to use data to make informed decisions that will positively impact our instruction at a tier 1, 2, and 3, in addition to our approach to behavior, attendance, and our overall school operations. So this slide is showing what the PA Future Ready Index measures for each school. It's what we call our school report card. As you can see, there are 3 colors. The green is where we are performing well, the yellow is where we are slowly picking up speed and making progress, and then the red is where we are not showing adequate progress. Hence the reason we are designated as a TSI, as we've both shared at the beginning of this presentation. So as we were digging into the changes that we are planning to make, we wanted to look closely at the academic data we already collect and then what we are missing.
Welcome back, Mr. Bell.
So this slide is showing 2 colors. Red is what we are already collecting. So the state level, we do PSSA, Keynote, and Access. And that data can be viewed in our PVAS and Performance Matters. We also normally do local testing, which is our benchmarks, our STAR, DIBELS, which we can be viewed in Performance Matters also. The purple color is showing me assessment that we do not have in place and that we need to develop in order to become better at using data that is standards-based, improved, and adjust what we do for our students. Our plan is to build unit assessments in Performance Matters and progress monitoring assessments in both Performance Matters and USA Test Prep, depending on the grading content area there is. Again, adding these important assessments will increase our rigor in the classroom and will help us to make better decisions about what we are teaching and how we are grouping students. And teachers will be provided time in their schedule to analyze and plan based on this data. So all of that information brings us to the implementing pillars for success on this data goal. If you've not read between the lines already and what we're both trying to hint at and where we see ourselves going, is our goal is to instill a culture for data in our school. We will have a logical sequence of data from a central level to the elementary level and to the elementary and secondary schools. Our Future Ready will drive our big goals, and we will utilize a customized dashboard and Performance Matters to get a nice snapshot of where we are at on any particular day. Our main data to focus on will be our state data, benchmark, and unit assessments, because those are where our red areas that we looked at a couple of slides back. So of course, it only makes sense to focus on what is weak. As you've been hearing, Performance Matters will be our platform to build assessments, take assessments, and then view and analyze the data from those assessments. People have been trained on this platform, but we will offer another training in August as a refresher. We also have many teachers in the building that have been using it and have become experts and will be able to support. Another pillar we have here is having a structure for routine data review. Again, everyone will be given time. It means admin and all of the school staff, and the expectation will be to use Performance Matters. Our last pillar is just tightening up our communication with stakeholders. We normally use State of the Unions. We have weekly meetings for communication. We use School Messenger, the web, Facebook, and email to communicate. And the big thing with this is that we're just ensuring there is consistency with things. We'll be making sure to communicate to our staff before our parents and to ensure that communication passed up the chain has a timely response.
Okay, so our last goal is based around our resources, and our goal is to align school resources to the needs of the school community in order to implement an effective process for programmatic, fiscal, and human resources that will enhance student achievement. Accomplishing this goal will result in progress towards the identification of solutions for student achievement. Our most valuable resources at EEACS and in many schools and organizations are time, staff, and money. So looking at the pillars for success for our third goal, I already shared earlier that we will be separating the DCI position. So we have 2 directors of instruction and 2 directors of curriculum. We will also be adding more reading and math specialists so that we can support our teachers with coaching in math and reading, and of course, support our students who are in need of intervention. We are also going to have a system for effective implementation of all initiatives that we take on. So in order to do that, we'll have a strategic planning template or protocol to follow so that we will use across central and building level as we begin those meetings and plan in response to our data. For example, when looking at why our students in 3rd grade are not meeting the early indicator for success in reading, the school level may decide that purchasing guided reading books is something that they need to do. So having this protocol in place will support the development of the implementation plan, and there will be data that is asked to support that specific need. And this will help us in how we are spending our money as a school, and all purchases will be justified through this process. Another pillar for success for our third goal is putting more attention on human resource practice. So we want to make sure we are hiring certified staff and that we have a sound organizational structure to support students. We are also going to be having regular budget meetings, so focusing on our budget and making sure it is meeting the needs of our school, which is based on these goals that we are talking about now. We are also going to be making sure we have an optimal schedule that allows for achievement and growth. So we're going to be looking at our course offerings, also looking at our Wednesday schedule and how we can get creative with that since it is a short day, and maximizing our instructional time overall for students. Finally, last 2 are time. So we have reassessed our weekly meeting schedules at the admin level. And again, we've said earlier that we're going to be providing time for teachers next year so that they can have those data meetings. The last thing here is our ESSER 2 funds, which many of you might not be aware of, but we are getting additional funds. So we are going to use those funds to make sure we have a robust intervention program for our tier 3, as well as after school program, Saturday school, and summer school. So our next steps, what we're going to be doing and what you can expect, we're going to be sending out a survey to our teachers to assess how ready we are to begin that UDL initiative that we spoke about earlier. After that, we will be developing a professional development plan for the 21-22 school year. And that plan will basically be, as I shared earlier, on UDL and how we can better our instruction and rewrite our curriculum in the BYOC, as well as building our standards aligned assessments. So those 3 will work in tandem with each other. They can't happen without each other. It's really one big initiative with 3 smaller components. We are also going to be hiring additional staff, those positions that were shared, and we are going to begin preparing for and training for the data culture that we would like to see happening in our building next school year.
So we want to end this presentation by saying thank you for being open and accepting to these changes. We both know that this will not only benefit our students, but is absolutely necessary after making it through all that's gone in the past year that has been thrown at us. It'll be 1 year exactly this Saturday that our lives were completely turned upside down. It is something we will never forget, and it is something our students will have to climb out of. It's not something that can be just cleaned up. There have been devastating effects on our children. So we need this change, and we both ask that you do not feel overwhelmed about the presentation that we just share with you, and we look at it as an obligation that we have for our students. They have a future, and it is our role to teach, support, and prepare them for anything that comes their way. Thank you again, and together we can do this. We look forward to growing a strong hybrid program as we move into the spring and eventually opening up fully at some point in the future. Thank you, and have a great remainder of your day.